Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about Mikel Arteta's confirmed dream signings, who I think are not going to happen. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Cossy. This is the evening edition Arsenal news. Now, like I said, we were gonna speak about a lot today, and look, I needed to speak about Madison. I needed to speak about Ben White. We need to speak about the two closed deals that have been reported by Chris Whitley and Kai Kainak. And I think we have done a very great job today. Thanks everybody who has watched the videos. It really means a lot. I know you love me. I love you more than you love me. People in my country, it's been locked down for 42 days. I did expect that. It's not an easy situation, but please do stay at home and make sure you comply. The figures are so high. The COVID-19 figures are so high. Personally, I've suffered from it. I told you someone had to treat me because they care about me, and I'm that lucky to have them. So let us get into it. And it is Mikel Arteta's dream signings that have been confirmed. And this is a story that has just come up. I was not planning on doing it, so let us get into it. Now, according to Kai Marin, he's one of those journalists that you're gonna find in terms of transfers, and they're gonna give you that inside information. He said Alexander Isak, or Alexander Isaac, I don't know how he spells his name, that Swedish international young player, and Martin Odegaard are Mikel Arteta's dream signings. That has been confirmed. That's what we're gonna discuss in this video, quite in depth. So please do smash a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on the notification bell if you've not yet, because the content is gonna be flowing in, especially now at the time that I'm gonna be sitting at home. So it's gonna be a lot of content. So two dream signings is Martin Odegaard and Alexander Isak. That is according to Kai Marin. Like I said, he's one of my sources. I've always told you my sources. So Kai Marin is the source for this one. And they said Arsenal have identified two dream signings of Mikel Arteta, and it is Martin Odegaard in number 10, and Isak and Isaac as who is in number 9. And look, well, this is a story that you wanna believe has basis, because we have talked about Odegaard all summer, and I've spoken. I spoke about Martin Odegaard since January, and I said I think Mikel will want to retain him. I think Mikel Arteta will want to keep Martin Odegaard. The reason is so clear. I think one of the players that have really fit in that Arsenal team, one of the players that have shown Mikel Arteta's blueprint ever since he came in from Manchester City, I think it's been Granit Xhaka, who I think has been a little bit consistent in the other half of the season. I think Martin Odegaard has been very key in Mikel Arteta's blueprint, as well as Bukayo Saka and David Lowe. I think those are the 4 players that I've really confirmed that these are Mikel Arteta's players. They reflect what he wants to do. And I told you that one of the reasons why we didn't sign Emi Buendia was Arsenal wanted to first evaluate the chances, the possibility, the probability of getting Martin Odegaard. In the end, Madrid are looking at around 60 million euros. That's a lot of money. You're gonna tell me, because you know we are looking at Madison, who is also 60 million euros, but I think Arsenal value Martin Odegaard at less than 60 million euros. But of course, the Athletic have said Arsenal still consider Martin Odegaard as one of their priorities, and they will take any single chance that avails itself to sign him. So whenever Madrid are saying they're gonna let the player go, Arsenal will be there waiting. So what makes Martin Odegaard one of our dream signings? That is very easy. I think half of the Arsenal fan base understand what the young lad can actually offer in terms of creativity, in terms of breaking play, and in terms of getting that ball and retaining it for some minutes. I think we've not had a player like Martin Odegaard for some time now. Even Mesut Ozil. Because what I think about what I like about Odegaard and the beauty with him as a player is he gives you that ability to have to control the game, whether you're in total control of the game, or you're just partially in control of the game. With Mesut Ozil, he was brilliant. He was so good when the team was in full control of the game. He doesn't play for struggling sides. Odegaard can play for a struggling side. I think that's the beauty with him. And this is the Premier League. You're never gonna dominate all games throughout the campaign. Now the other is Isak, and this guy has been linked with Arsenal. Alexander Isak has been linked with Arsenal for almost the greater half of the transfer window, and I had decided not to talk about him because I don't see any. I didn't see any truth in the rumors. Any of my sources have not actually come out and said Isak is a genuine target. But what has come out in the last 32 hours, Kite Mariner said, look, he's one of Mikel Arteta's dream signings. He wants him. But this makes things even a little bit harder and harder and harder for Arsenal. Why? Because, our priorities, like I said at first, there was never a striker. There was never centre back. When we were discussing our transfer priorities, I can bet my hand on this. Every Arsenal blogger, every Arsenal influencer said it's a right back, it's a backup left back, and 2 midfielders. Those were 4 players. At this point in time, we are looking at almost 6 priority signings, including a striker. And the striking situation at Arsenal is one that has to be considered very, very, very carefully. In the future, it's gonna become a problem, a big problem. We have almost 3 or 4 strikers at the moment. Yeah, that's a little bit comfortable. You have Alexander Lacazette, who's 30. You have Aubameyang, who's 31. Yeah, they can be here for the next 2 years, 3 years. That's understandable. You're comfortable there. You have Balogun, who's very, very promising. I don't think he's gonna develop in the next 3 years. Honestly, I think we will need to give him around 4 years. So he might need to go out on a couple of loan spells. You have Edin Ketia in this case, who is on the transfer wish list of many clubs, and many clubs would want to sign him. Arsenal are still confused. Do we say, do we give him a new contract? Do we let him go? I mean, it's typical Arsenal. We have always not known what to do. We are just like that woman in her 30s, and she has a couple of offers, and time is running out on her. She can never decide. She's always skeptical, and she's always in a rush. So and that's the problem. So with Alexander Isak, very young player, very young striker. Sweden have been playing today, and what a skill! Honestly, it was gonna be one of the best goals if it happened. I did look at it on Twitter, but look, I mean, the striking situation at Arsenal. If you brought in a striker at the moment who's 19, 20, 21, I would understand. But look, it is not a priority. So well done, Arsenal. Let us first focus on the other priorities. Yeah, we've been linked with a couple of strikers, from Edson Edward to Patson Daka, now Alexander Isak. We've been linked with Lexo Moussa Dembele, and like I said, that only shows you there is that prudent eye in the media. They're trying to drive that agenda that Arsenal need a striker, need a young striker to back up the likes of Aubameyang and back up the likes of Alexander Lacazette. But I think for us to sign in a striker, it will depend on so many things. First and foremost, what happens with Alexander Lacazette? One person that I think is so uncertain of what's going to happen with his future, very, very uncertain, and at times I feel a little bit pitiful for Alexander Lacazette. He's had a very great season, he's been our top scorer, scored a couple of goals. He's been very, very key in terms of leadership and giving the club that sense of direction. So if you let him go, honestly, at this point in time, I don't object to it, but his future is so uncertain. He has 1 year left on his contract. Arsenal are planning to give him a 1 year extension. That is ridiculous. If I'm Alexander Lacazette, I'm signing for another club that's giving me 3 years. I'm 30. I can sign for 3 years with with a possibility of signing for an extra year. That is how transfers in the 30s are done. If you've given Willian 3 years who's 32, there is no way you're giving me 1 year, and I'm Alexander Lacazette, and I'm taking it. And I'm 30, honestly. But for Alexander Lacazette, I don't think he's the striker that Arsenal thought they were signing. 5 years ago. We have not got what we expected. Honestly, as a person, I'm not really satisfied. I think Aubameyang, on the other hand, has come out and just overshadowed him, which is something that he wouldn't like, or you don't like that as a striker. So I think for us to sign in a striker, whether it is Alexander Isak or whoever, it's gonna depend on what happens with Alexander Lacazette. If he leaves, Atletico Madrid is interested, Juventus is interested. If he leaves eventually, then I know at some point in time we might let him go. But if we might get in a striker. But if he stays, then at the end of the day, I don't see us signing a striker. We already have 4 of them. Nketiah, I mean, I look at Nketiah as a player who's gonna leave the club. I'm looking at Balogun as a striker who's gonna be a backup. And I'm looking at Lacazette and Aubameyang as the 2 main lead strikers for Arsenal next season, and I think Lacazette will leave after this summer. So for Alexander Isak, I purely, from the bottom of my heart, I purely understand why Mikel Arteta loves him. He's a very young, talented player. Very, very interesting. If you've seen him, in Sweden, try to watch, the Spanish La Liga. He's very, very interesting. I think he plays with Sociedad. So, look, these are two of his major signings. Like I said, there is no Houssem Aouar, there is no Yavis Bissouma. We'll talk about Bissouma tomorrow, because I've seen Chris Whitley saying that he's actually moving up, the ranks. And I think it was Charles Watts who was saying that who said that Arsenal will sign in another midfielder even after signing in Albert Sambi Lokonga. So the true dream signings are Martin Odegaard. This is Mikel Arteta's. These are not mine. I think my dream signings are 6. And I'll give you my reasons behind my dream signings. But Mikel Arteta's dream signings, according to Kite Marin, there are 2. And that is Martin Odegaard, who I think is a good player. Very nice. But the valuation is a problem. The price tag is going to be a problem at the end of the day. Isak, look, Isak has a 70 million release clause. 70 million. Of course, it could be negotiated and compromised, but it's gonna end in around 40 million pounds. He's a young striker, so Real Sociedad don't have so many problems in letting him stay for another season. They want him to stay for another season. Probably he bangs in the goals. It's gonna become more and more expensive. So if you ask me, Cossy, can they happen? Odegaard can happen, honestly, if Arsenal decide to splash the cash. Isak, that one's a very hard one. Very, very hard one. So those are Mikel Arteta's 2 dream signings. Tomorrow we shall talk about KNT and the situation with a new contract. It's gonna be earning 100k a week, so we shall talk about that. I'll talk about Mohamed El Neni. I had to talk about Mohamed El Neni today, but the content has been so much. Yeah, I think we shall talk about also Houssem Aouar. Now, this deal is back in. It's back on. It's back on. And it's one of the deals that I really thought, you give it a try, honestly. You give it a try. Because last summer, we were so close. It was a whisker. We missed the player by whisker. Yes, he said he wants Juventus. He wants Champions football. But you try. You try again. We have the money he wants. We have so many things he wants. The only problem the only thing we do not have is Champions football and Champions League football. And you've got to, have that convincing tongue if you ask now. So we'll speak about that tomorrow in the morning. I've given you a hint of what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So make sure, more reason to subscribe, more reason to smash the like button, and more reason to tune in tomorrow. Have a blessed night. It's been the evening edition. My name is Cossy, and I'll see you around.